Everybody, back again. Um, I pray everybody's doing well, that you had a good day. Uh, Tonight, we're just going to be taking a quick look at Genesis 50, uh, verses 18 to 21. Um, it's just a little piece of the story with Joseph, and just really quick, something that we're trying to do with the Fireside Devotionals is just look at simple truths, just gentle reminders in godly living. You know, ways that we can honor the Lord by just taking a quick look at some verses, uh, just getting out some quick truth that honors the Lord and the way that we should just be living before Him, and pressing in to following after Him. So that's what we are trying to do here, just trying to give you a little extra encouragement during the week, when you might be getting bored, things might be getting heated. You know, we find that when we aren't in our normal routine and we're kind of around each other all the time, um, we could get heated, mad at each other, upset. Also, if you're all alone and you're uh, isolating alone, or however we call it uh, in the United States, quarantining, wherever you are, wherever you're listening from. If you're all alone, if you're just with another person, if you're with your whole family, however it is, there there are definitely challenges to overcome. But we want to help in those challenges by reminding ourselves and reminding you guys on just ways to honor the Lord, even as we are at home. So, quickly, we'll jump into Genesis 50, verses 18 to 21. So, this is just after Jacob dies. This is the end of Genesis, uh, and the book of Genesis. And we find Joseph's brothers uh, still feel guilty for what they've done to Joseph. So they come to Joseph, and in 18 it says, "Then his brothers came and threw themselves down before Joseph. 'Look, we are your slaves,' they said. But Joseph replied, 'Don't be afraid of me. Am I God that I can punish you? You intended to harm me, but God intended it all for good. He brought me to this position so that I could save the lives of many people. No, don't be afraid. I will continue to take care of you and your children.' So he reassured them by speaking kindly to them." Now, there's something that Joseph does there, and this isn't the whole message. It's just a little piece of it. There's something that Joseph does there. Joseph did have the power to punish them. He really did. But Joseph didn't touch that power. He left it with God. What does Scripture say? "Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord." And sometimes when someone wrongs us, we're stuck on vengeance. We're stuck on bitterness. How are we going to get back? Or, "I can't believe they spoke to me like that." Or "Man, I hope the coronavirus gets them." You know, whatever. Whatever however crazy we are, you know, the Lord knows us. And, we sit there, we see a man that is the second most powerful man, and at that point, the world's superpower. So he is the second most powerful man in the known world. And he says, "Am I God that I can punish you? No, no, that's not my job. Oh, I can step out of my role and take my liberties, but that's not my job." Joseph had forgiven. He wasn't imprisoned by bitterness and by vengeance. He had allowed the Lord to set him free long before Pharaoh had set him free from his prison. So we see someone who sat and allowed the things to happen in his life, and he knew that God was working it out for good. And then we find as believers, as New Testament believers, the Lord has the same promise. You know, we can say to those that have wronged us, to people that have, you know, done things that are not right in our lives, we can look at them and say, you know what, the Lord is working this out for good. You intended it for evil, but God is working it out for good. I hold nothing against you. You know, and we might be in that place right now. We might be, it might not be a person, it might be a circumstance. You know, we could get bitter over circumstances. You might be sitting here right now, and your personal economic livelihood is falling apart. You know, your health might be falling apart, and you might be sitting there stunned and thinking, what is going on? And you might be getting bitter, and how come nobody else is, you know, getting this happening to them, or whatever it is. Snap out of it. Look to the Lord. He works all things together for the good of those that love him and are called according to his purpose. You know, we'll flip really quick to that verse, and that is Romans 8:28. And you may know this, maybe something you recall. And there's something that happened to me recently. It was a circumstance in September. I mean, it's not that recent, but a few, you know, over 6 months ago, 8 months ago. And I remember the thing happening to me, and I told the people at that time, all of a sudden what flooded into my heart was this verse. I started to fret, and this verse flooded into my heart, and it just kept repeating itself, like as if the Lord, you know, put a song on repeat. It just kept repeating itself. And I remember just growing calm and saying, Lord, do your thing. And I'll just take care of my responsibilities, but Lord, you be at work, you do your thing. So Romans 8:28, and we know that God causes everything to work together for the good of those who love God and are called according to his purpose for them. And verse 29 says, for God knew his people in advance, and he chose them to become like his son, so that his son would be the firstborn among many brothers and sisters. And you know, that second verse tells us what is he doing? He's working all things together for good for those that love the Lord and are called according to his purpose, to make us like Christ. To make us like Christ. So he's at work. You know, somebody may have wronged me, my father, my mother, my brother, my sister, my friend, my ex-friend, my ex-wife, you know, whatever it is. Whoever it is. Or if it's a circumstance. If that hadn't have happened, then my life wouldn't be like this. Whatever it is. God can work it together for good. You just need to open your eyes to his fingerprints in your life and allow him to do his work. Allow him to mold you and make you into the image of Christ. You know, that servant leader, the one that loves others, that reaches across the aisle, you know, that is there for us. So that's this evening's devotional, and I pray you guys have a good night's sleep.